I am Kenneth Kelty, your host for Exceeding Expectations with Kenneth Kelty, the podcast about all types of people with disabilities who want to go above what's expected of them and live their own lives. We highlight people who are blazing the trails both on a national level and in their own community. Today, we have the honor of interviewing a lifelong disability advocate, Liz Weintraub. Liz is a person with IDD, leading by example. She's led the way for people like me who want to do work in disability advocacy and podcasting. We welcome our guest, Liz Weintraub. Liz works with the Association of University Centers on Disability, or AUCD, and has been there for more than 10 years, and is the host of Tuesdays with Liz, a YouTube show that talks about policy issues and disability justice. Liz and I have met many times over the years at conferences, and I have also been featured on her show. You might have heard her name because she often uses the saying, "Nothing about us without us." And she coined the saying, "All means all." What makes Liz stand out is that she has led the way for advocates with disabilities to lead the discussion and have their voices heard. Now, we will start with the interview questions. Liz, when did you first know you wanted to be an advocate?
First of all, thank you, Kenneth. First of all, thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. It's quite a big honor for me to be on your show, so thank you. The first time I knew that I wanted to be an advocate was when I spoke up for myself. The first time I said no to my mom and dad. Then I thought to myself, if I know how to speak up, what can I teach others to learn how to speak up for themselves?
All right, thank you, Liz. What were the expectations you felt from your family? How have you exceeded expectations?
I guess the expectations for my family was just like any other family with a child with ID, that I would not go to college. I would probably have a job in the library. I remember saying to I remember this very clearly. I was probably 16 or 17 years at the time when my parents asked me what I wanted to do for a job, and they I know a lot of our friends' parents didn't expect that of their children with a disability, but mine did. And I said I wanted to be a lobbyist. And they kind of looked at me like I was strange or had four legs. And so they told me, well, no, you can't. You can work in a library. And I did. I love that job. And to this day, I still read all the time, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an advocate. I'm not sure that I knew what a lobbyist was. But in my mind, it was an advocate. And see what I'm doing today. I do I advocate on the Hill. I advocate when I'm on my show. So I'm doing what my parents I got what I wanted.
Yes, you've definitely gone above expectations. How have your family's viewpoints changed?
How has my family's viewpoint changed? I think it changed in just what I can do as a person. What I taught them that that I could be who I am. So they just went on with the ride of I don't know how to answer that question more than that.
Okay, yeah, you answered it well. Now, when did you first hear about Nothing About Us Without Us?
I think when I volunteered for Self-Advocates Coming in Power, which is a national self-advocacy group, and I know you know them very well, Kenneth. And they taught me the word nothing about us without us. And what I think about nothing about us without us is I don't ask to be at the table when there's a discussion about me or my friend. I demand to be at the table. It's not a question about can I be part of that conversation. It's about me, and I demand that. And if I can share a quick story about Nothing About Us Without Us, when I was probably, I guess, 25, maybe early 20s, my parents called the family meeting. And the subject doesn't really matter for this story. And I guess it wasn't included at that meeting. And me. And to make it worse was it my little niece at that time was I guess a year old. She was invited, and I point that out because I wasn't invited because I would not understand. And to this day, I would not understand what's going on, the subject. But I'm part of I'm part of the family, aren't I? So why shouldn't I be at that meeting? And so I went I was invited out for dinner. And I said to, while I was getting dressed, I said to one of my sisters, two of my sisters, I said, I'm really upset. All day I had a pain in my stomach and was very upset. And I said, I'm very upset. What's going on? What happened at that meeting? I really want to know. And they said, Mom and Dad told me we cannot tell you. And so I just went on with my day because I did not want my sisters to get in trouble. And I finally asked my parents, probably 4 or 5 years later. And I know what happened at that meeting, but it just made me really upset. And that's why nothing about us without us means a lot to me.
Thank you, Liz. And I agree. I don't ask to be at the table or be part of the discussion. I demand nothing about us without us means we have a right, like anyone else, to be at the table, not to be asked. And aren't I a part of the family? Very well phrased about what nothing about us without us means. Now, how was the experience talking at the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearing about women's rights, women with disabilities?
It was probably it was scary. It was the honor of a lifetime. I was honored to do it. I don't like to talk about it because I don't see myself as someone who brags about themselves. But I'm glad that I spoke up. I'm glad that I spoke up for my community. And I can tell you, when I spoke, the night before I spoke, I had to dream, and maybe I was too full of myself. You know what I mean by full of yourself, thinking you're so great. And I said, I dreamt that after my testimony, they changed their vote, and they did not vote for Kavanaugh to be on the Supreme Court. Well, obviously that did not happen. And when I heard they got on the Supreme Court, that was probably one of the saddest days in my life, because my testimony did not make a difference. Almost all the questions that I got was, "Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Mrs. Weintraub. You did such a great job. Pat me on the head." Well, that's not why I did it. I wanted to make a difference. And people have told me they have made a difference, but I can't see how it, and maybe other people can see it, but I can't see it myself. Does that answer your question, Kenneth?
Thank you, Liz. And yes, that answers very well. I also wish they would have listened more to what you said, and I agreed to that Brett Kavanaugh definitely should not have been confirmed, and that all the progress that has been made should not be set backwards.
Yes.
But yeah, I definitely I definitely liked hearing your testimony, and let's not give up.
Thank
Now,
you.
welcome. Now, what has led you to working for the ACD organization, and what led to the series Tuesdays with Liz?
Okay. Well, I first started at AUCG during the self-advocacy summits. I don't know if you remember, but, and I think we asked you to be a part of the North Carolina team. Maybe I'm remembering that right. But we brought in AUCG got a grant through ACL to look at self-advocacy around the country, where they invited self-advocates, parents, all the team partners like the DE Council and the youth and the PNAs in a state like North Carolina, and to see what's working and what's not working. And AUCG has a great idea, or great I can't think of the word, the smarts to really know that they could not do this work without a self-advocate, going back to nothing about us without us. And so they asked me to be part of the co-lead the project. And so once all that was done, about 3 or 4 years later, I asked to do a YouTube series called to similar. I didn't know what the title was, but it was Tuesdays with Liz, where I wanted my friends to go up on Capitol Hill or Charlotte. I think Charlotte is your state capital, where we could go up to understand these legislation like the ABLE Act or HCBS on community-based services, or the ESSA, the Education Act. So anyway, because rather than Anna explaining what it means, wouldn't it be better to have you and I, Kenneth, to go up to Capitol Hill or in Charlotte, to advocate on our own rather than having Anna help us. So that and the purpose of Tuesdays is so we can understand what this legislation is all about. and then go to Capitol Hill to advocate for ourselves. And what led to the series was going back to my childhood, because every good idea here begins with you. So and maybe my family is strange, but but I love them. But we during the at the dinner table, we talk about policy, and I kept on saying, what is this? What is this? And my parents kept on saying, well, look it up, look it up, look it up. Like how funny this is. You don't care. And so that doesn't work for me. So therefore I started the YouTube show called Tuesdays, and I just told you the story.
All right, thank you, Liz. Yes, we should be the ones that are out there taking control, leading discussion series, and going to Capitol Hill or Charlotte, not able-bodied people. Yes, you have definitely illustrated about what demanding your presence at the table means. Now, what other hearings in Congress would you like to share with us?
There hasn't really been a lot this year, but one of the things I think is really important is to when I was working for Senator Kelty, there was a hearing about guardianship and who could have and I remember asking helping Senator Kelty ask a question about that. We're all different, and I'm sure that when I was younger, I probably could not do a lot or could not understand a lot, but I'm different now. I'm over 50 years old, so I'm much different. Why if I had guardianship when I was little, which I might have needed, why would I need it today? And why is guardianship permanent? The other hearing is I can't really think of a lot of hearings on top of my head. Oh, maybe the ABLE Act, which is the Achieving Better Life, Living Life, which means that people with disability have the right to have the right to save money for college or for other things. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it most certainly does. Does answer the question. And yes, just because when you were little, where you may have needed a lot of help, does not mean it's to be shown forever. Yes, as guardianship is not a bad thing, but it should not be the only solution that is referred to. Anna and I have the pleasure of being part of the Rethinking Guardianship initiative and have done a lot of advocacy around the ABLE Act account until coming to the CIDD here at UNC, I didn't really know much about rethinking guardianship issues and rights. Yes, we should all be treated with equity, not have to be on the traditional path of nowhere. We all should have choices.
Yeah. I can tell you in Maryland, and I'm not sure about on the federal level, but on the state level in Maryland, there's a law or called the supported decision making, and that basically is basically people have the right to have support in their lives. I can tell you that going back to the Kavanaugh case, and we didn't actually talk about the Kavanaugh case was that there were two women who wanted an abortion and a cataract operation. On the lower court where Kavanaugh said, well, of course you should listen to these women, and who at that time people called them MR. I hope your listeners know what MR is. Mental retardation. I hate that word, and I imagine you do too, Kenneth. So to speed it up, Kavanaugh at the upper court said you don't need to listen to these women. And why I mention that is in this context is that I don't think anyone can, or maybe I don't know, but I should not say anyone because who am I? But I don't make any big decision without consulting with my sisters or my family. And I might not understand everything. Or should I understand? But that doesn't mean that I can't have so what supportive decision making is that I can still be my own person. I can still have my rights. But if I need some advice or if I need someone to help me make a decision, I know that I have someone in my that can help me make that decision. Sorry, I took so long to explain that.
Oh no, Liz, that was a very great point you make, and yes, I do agree about having to be the least restrictive options. Now, what is one of the hardest things you have done as an advocate?
What is the hardest thing? I guess just what I just talked about, the Kavanaugh case. And why that was because I was, and maybe I put more pressure on myself, but I felt like I wanted people, I felt like I had the responsibility to make sure that he didn't get on the Supreme Court. Because of what we have talked about, because of what you have told, you yourself, Kenneth, said why. But So that was the hardest thing that I did. Had to tell my story in front of the whole world, or in front of the whole country. And knowing that they didn't listen to me, that made me really sad and angry.
This is Anna, and I'm the producer, and I haven't said much, but I did want to just say a little bit. First of all, thank you for giving us the context or the story around the Kavanaugh hearing and why that was so important for you in particular. It sounds like a very personal thing, and I could see why. And certainly the how things have played out with the Supreme Court, the opportunity for women to make those types of choices for themselves, regardless of their situation that they are in, is something that we don't necessarily have anymore, you know. And so I can see why that affected you so personally. And thank you for talking about it and giving us that information.
Thank you. I forgot to tell you this, and maybe this is more of a context, is because when President Trump nominated Kavanaugh to the bench, ASCD dig about we wanted to make sure that he didn't have anything in his closet about disability, and we did. So we did, and we found this case that we found in the dark room. No one knew about it. It wasn't on the news. It wasn't in the papers. So when we found out, I said, "Oh my gosh, this is my issue," and it was because it. Excuse me, my cat is playing. Obviously, it wasn't my issue, because it's bigger than me. But it was because, going back to my Thanksgiving story with my family, that's why it was so personal to me.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, that definitely makes a lot of sense, and it's always important to know who is running for office and who definitely is gonna also support us, not just only support one category, then set the progress that's been made back centuries. So thank you, and definitely keep up the work. Now, Liz, what's your advice for going beyond expectations?
What do you mean?
Yes, I mean, what is your advice with all of your amazing accomplishments? What would you say to Byron advocates who want to go above what's expected of them and continue to pave the way?
Okay. Well, there's two things. Never take no for an answer. Never take no for an answer. Keep on trying. If I just said, "Well, Mom and Dad, you're right. I should stay in the institution. You're right. I should go into the library and work in the library, and I would never, and yes, being a lobbyist would not be possible." Well, guess where I would be today? I would be in an institution. I would be in the library. And I would just say, believe in yourself. Believe that you can do this. And maybe they kind of go hand in hand, never give up. And believe in yourself. And say, well, I can do this. It might take me 20 years. Gosh, I'm not sure where I would be 20 years ago. I was still working. No, I'm not sure where I would be today if people didn't believe in me. And also, I would also say, have a friend that will say, you can do this, you can do this. And be that cheerleader, whether it's your friend Anna or whether it's my friend Pat, who brought me out of I can't tell you what. I'll leave you with this story. When I wanted to say that I didn't like where I was living in New Jersey, and I didn't know how to say no to my mom and dad. And Pat was my first staff, and she's a very special friend. And she said to me, I said, you tell her, that's your job. You tell my parents that I don't like where I was living. And she said, nothing doing. I'll hold your hand, I'll help you, I'll coach you. And I remember crying and yelling in the parking lot because I said, Pat. And I was probably 25 at that time. And I said, Pat, it's your job. It's your job. Don't be so mean to me. It's your job. Your job. And she said, nothing doing. I won't. And she finally helped me and she encouraged me. But you know what? At the bottom of the day, I was the one that told my parents that I wanted to leave.
All right. Yes, Liz, you are definitely a really great. You are definitely a really great advocate, and I love just say no. Don't take no for an answer, even if it takes time. Keep pushing your limits.
And have a friend.
Yes, and have a friend. C demands to be at the table. Having supported decision making and having choices definitely connects with nothing about us without us, because we all have a right to be at the table, not to be seen as special guests, not to just have someone come and pat you on the head. No, we are the advocates. We are the ones who know what we want. We, the people with disabilities, can lead our own lives, not our parents or society. I would like to thank our guests and my friend Liz Weintraub today for coming onto my podcast and sharing her personal advocacy journey with us today. We want to be a continuum of advocates out there. who are sharing our story and protecting disability rights. I want to thank you for listening to my podcast and stay tuned for more episodes. If you want to learn more about the disability community, you can listen to another podcast I host called The Waiting Room, which focuses on specific issues in North Carolina. You can find it on Spotify. Also, be sure to look for Tuesdays with Liz on YouTube, AUCD channel, and also on the AUCD website. This is your host, Kenneth from Exceeding Expectations with Kenneth Kelty. Go beyond expectations.